Okay. So I'm going to get started. I wanted to welcome everyone to our monthly partner webinar. Today we will dive deep into Sd-Wan with a special guest from Juniper Networks. Juniper Networks is a corporation headquartered in Sunnyvale, California. The company develops and markets networking products, including routers, switches, network management software, network security products, and software-defined networking technology. My name is Deirdre McNerland. I'm the Director of Marketing for West Telecom and TIO, and I know most of you. It's great to see everybody here. And so our amazing presenters today are Tarek. He's the senior Product Marketing Manager at Juniper Networks. Tarek leads enterprise product marketing at Juniper, covering SD-WAN, switching, wireless, and security solutions for enterprises in their campus and branch domains. Tarek has prior experience in the semiconductor capital equipment industry in process development and software engineering. He holds an MBA degree from Santa Clara University and a Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering from the University of California, Berkeley. And so welcome, Tarek. Thank you so much for agreeing to come onto this webinar with us and speak on your expertise with SD-WAN and Juniper. And we also have Eric Svensson, who is our Vice President of Carrier Engineering for the West Telecom family of companies. He's responsible for the management, training, and development of all West Telecom's engineering resources. Mr. Svensson has over 20 years of experience working in the enterprise as well as a service provider industry. Prior to joining West Telecom, Eric was Senior Network Architect for Trek Bicycle Corporation, which you can see his bike actually in his background, which is cool. But with responsibility, for the design, the engineering, and the maintenance of Trek's global network and data centers. Eric spent many years with Time Warner, holding different roles with his last position as, Senior Network Engineer, Planning and Design. In this role, he worked on design, architecture, and capacity planning for the East region. Eric holds a BS in Telecommunications Engineering Technology from Rochester Institute of Technology and a Master of Business Administration from Syracuse University. So welcome both of you. Thank you so much for being here today. I look forward to kind of speaking to you and your expertise in this subject. The other really exciting thing about today is that we have a prize at the end of the webinar, which Juniper so graciously donated some pretty expensive equipment. It actually comes out to about $3,000 worth of stuff. So Tarek, if you want to go into kind of explaining what this little white box is over to the left, along with the switch that's going to be given away at the end of the webinar, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm super excited to do this. Essentially, it's a nice little network for your home or your office location, wherever you are. It's an access point that we have from the Mist Systems acquisition that we got a couple of years ago. It's the AP33, so it has a lot of cool features, including Bluetooth location. It's got the BLE technology. And then on the right-hand side there, you see the access switch. It's an EX2300-C. It's a compact version, which means that it's fanless and it's quiet. So you can have it on your desk, for example, and it's not going to make any noise. It also provides the PoE to drive the access point. So it's a nice little combo. What we're also giving away with this is 1 year free Mist subscription. So you get a true feeling for what it's like to operate the network with AI-driven capabilities. So you can see exactly what's going on with users that are connecting, which clients, which applications are running in your network. So I actually have this installed in my home right now, and that's what I'm using. And it's a great, cool thing to have, and also to get you up and running with Juniper.
Perfect. So I'm going to quickly just go into a few marketing housekeeping items. We have our next webinar next month at the end of April. We're going to be talking about Contact Center as a Service. We recently signed an agreement with TalkDesk, who has an amazing product. They're going to be coming on board and talking about what they offer. And That's going to be April 29th at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. The other thing I wanted to say is, we send out our weekly partner dose that's sent mostly every Thursday. And you're going to start to also get a West Telecom newsletter that's going to be sent out monthly to understand kind of as a company what we're doing. We've got a new website that we're launching. We have a new billing portal that we're moving to. There's a lot of really great information and things we're doing. So just to keep you all updated on what we're doing. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. The other thing is too is, if you have news as a company or you have information that you want to share, that you want out, in these newsletters and these email blasts, please feel free. We love stories. We love to hear partner stories and their experience with their customers. And I'd love to highlight you in one of our newsletters that goes out. So feel free to email me or reach out to me with this information as well. All right. So what we're going to talk about today, just going to quickly go over the agenda with everybody. So Eric Svensson will go through our solutions and our target verticals. And then we'll show you a quick medical video. We put together different vertical videos for marketing purposes. And this is, these are customers that we have that are happy with us. We wanted to show kind of from a medical standpoint how we see these verticals and how we really kind of step into them and help with hospitals and institutions and whatnot. He'll go over the vision and then design, delivery, and support, which if you're a partner, you've seen those three words next to each other many times. But in particular for this webinar, we're going to go into how we did this for Sd-Wan for a medical institution. And then we're going to go into our Juniper partnership. Why do we work together? What does that look like? How long have we been together? And then Juniper is going to go into, Tarek's going to go into Juniper, where they have this really cool saying that says, experience first networking. So he's going to go into that, and he's got several slides talking about what they do. We'll go into some Q&A, and then we're going to raffle off or pick a winner based on everybody that's on the webinar, all of our partners. We're going to pick a winner that's going to win the Juniper Kit prize at the end. So stick around. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Eric Svensson, who will talk about our solutions in target verticals.
Thank you, Deirdre. Thank you, Tarek, for being with us today as well. So we're looking to provide carrier-grade solutions for verticals with mission-critical operations. We'll be talking a lot about how to keep things going regardless. We've had a lot of experience in healthcare, education, banking, government, manufacturing, and SMB space. We focus on voice and internet services, which we provide to 10 regional hospitals and over 130 healthcare facilities. Network operation and internet services to 2 regional telemedicine networks, and then wide area network phone and internet services to over 79 school district locations, as well as internet phone service to 12 regional village, town, county, and city governments. So Deirdre's going to play this video, which touches on our company.
Some of the key things with healthcare, usually there's a hospital and multiple clinics that have to be tied back to that hospital. So we take our carrier engineering group, we go in, we deploy a wide area network for that hospital. We bring in the security that they need into the wide area network.
What West Telecom really brought to us was to have us start thinking about our business as a more holistic approach and not just, well, we have 22 different buildings that all need internet connection.
Once we've got the network built, we often will go in and help them look at their phone services. If you have a chance to look at a hospital's phone bill, you'll find that it's extensive. There's usually something hidden that they're paying for that they're not aware of. So we've gone in and worked with them to clear up a lot of their bills.
We've now had this partnership for better than a decade, and by and large, the network that they have in place today, we've yet to outgrow it. We've significantly expanded both voice and data on that network. It just runs, which is the beauty of it. They did a wonderful job really just understanding what we would need in the future and designing that so that they didn't have to come back and redesign things. The number one benefit that West Telecom brings to the table for our organization is their support, hands down. It's not the high-tech equipment that they put in a closet, and it's not the quality of the fiber and the bandwidth that we get with their equipment. It's really the support. It really allows our IT department and our organization to sleep at night.
Thanks, Deirdre. So we want to share West Telecom's vision. Our vision is to be great at designing, delivering, and supporting mission-critical communication solutions. And we're gonna review each of those areas as we review this case study that we put together with a recent customer we've had. So this is a medical case study. The background on this customer is they're a health and wellness clinic with 6 locations. They had 3 different phone systems and different connectivity and network at each site. Some of the pain points we discussed when we first met with this customer is that, you know, it was actually a pretty large group of disparate buildings and employees, and one person was managing this, and they were kind of looking for a better way to take care of it. Issues with bandwidth, multiple vendors for multiple different services, and like a lot of companies now, leveraging some cloud services like cloud EMR and point of sale, unmanaged unique network with per site design, different ISPs, and you know, just the management and maintenance of unique phone systems, network equipment, make things difficult. So on to the design. Just briefly, we'll, you know, as we talk about Sd-Wan, we'll kind of review a little bit as some people might not be familiar with it. So there's a few different use cases, and this one targets multiple connection methods to keep connected all the time because of a lot of cloud connected services. So when we say in this slide traditional, you know, you might have one service provider, you might have some services on site, and then if that connection is down, you're unable to process anything that happens to be outside of the office. And then, you know, with backup, you know, in this model, it's just you may have one or more connections, but it's really just the way things have been done over a lot of years, where you know, you have your primary connection. If that happens to fail, you might have a little blip, and then your backup connection comes on. And then in SD-WAN, you can combine multiple different service types. It could be MPLS broadband, any type of broadband, LTE, to make sure that you have high availability and connectivity. And, you know, if you look at security, cloud access configuration, this chart kind of explains the differences between, I know Deirdre will be sharing the slide with everybody after, and you can kind of take a look at that. But those are the high level differences. So, you know, with every customer we're working with, we want to find out what their unique obstacles are, what they have going on, so that we can help to design a custom solution that's right for them. There might be different or the similar product offerings that we use for different customers, but we want to make sure we tailor it for those customers and make sure we're delivering that mission critical service we talk about. So our solution, if you can go back one, thank you, sorry. So West Telecom created a network that would allow them to run their back office operations in the cloud efficiently, while meeting their needs of staying online 24/7 as a healthcare facility. And, you know, what we'll be talking about is the network focus on application and user experience just versus, you know, how to get somewhere. It's really about what is the user experience and, you know, their experience dealing with their application, whether it's on campus or if it's in the cloud. So what we put together was a cloud UC system leveraging the TO platform, Office 365 for office collaboration between all their employees, and a managed WAN, which leveraged Juniper SRX with cloud management, Sky, and then we use broadband as primary and cellular as backup. The main concern here was making sure that they had a primary connection, and then we leveraged LTE for a backup just in case. The ability to manage traffic and watch for impact and application routing. One of the things we talked about with the customer was the user experience. My user has issues with this, or some users are not having a good experience with their cloud software. And then the managed LAN and wireless through Juniper's Mist platform to help, we could see the network and the applications from the user to the WAN and back. And this was this is a scalable solution we put together for the customer. And this is kind of a map of West Telecom's infrastructure across the U.S. We have data centers in 3 data centers in New York, Plattsburgh, Watertown, and Syracuse. And then we also have facilities in Dallas and on the West Coast in Seattle. And then connectivity to multiple internet exchanges for better connectivity throughout the country. So on the delivery, we deliver these solutions over our network and over our connections that we have across the U.S. So zero-touch provisioning, this was important for us, leveraging Juniper's cloud management in Sky and Mist to be able to deploy new technology out of the box seamlessly and easy and make that cutover experience quick and easy for the customer. We're able to deploy quickly, and then that gets the customer up and running. We also deployed Office 365, which is a cloud collaboration suite, and then the UCaaS is the TO platform. So with that UCaaS solution, because it's in the cloud, we're just delivering phones which sit behind the network that we deployed, and we can kind of monitor the quality and traffic patterns that happen with that, as well as any other cloud platform. So to look at the remote site topology, this customer, I think we have 8 locations that we're working on now that's going to extend. So scalability was important. So each of the sites looks similar to maybe what you might find at most locations, but there's a little bit more intelligent, and that cloud management and AI really make the solution better, and the ability to look at applications versus just routing to and from the internet is important. So the data solution relies on multiple network connections. And in this instance, we used a broadband connection. Sometimes that's coax, sometimes that's fiber and 4G, and they get a similar experience from site to site. We use probe monitors for rapid WAN failover, which we'll discuss a little bit later. And then Mist Wi-Fi for reliable connectivity, because we want to make sure that whether you're on a desktop, plugged into a device, to a switch, or if you're on Wi-Fi, that you still have a positive user experience. And then the voice solutions, again, mentioned this could be our TO phone. You can use the app on either your desktop or mobile computer, as well as your cellular phone. And then, as mentioned, it's a cloud solution, so no on-site solution, building for a lot of flexibility. So on the SD-WAN side, we have the ability to kind of monitor each of the sites and see a map of the network, and we can look for recovery outages. We want to look at things like latency, jitter that are on those links, each of those links, to see which one's a viable path to use. Zero-touch provisioning is not just great for the initial deployment, but when we talk about scalability, we want to be able to grow with a company. So it's not come up with a new idea or something different each time. If this company wants to expand to a new location, we can use zero-touch deployment using common templates that are built in, and they can have the same SD-WAN orchestration. So similar, looking at similar applications outbound, and also make sure that the same SSIDs for the wireless, those same wireless networks, whether it's your office network or the guest, are delivered across the platform. And the great stuff about the the Juniper product lines that Tarek pointed to a little bit is the SRX, the firewall we use. That's a firewall that could be used on its own, same with the switches, and then we can build in this cloud application management, which kind of makes the device work a little bit more intelligently. You can map out profiles, and it kind of learns along the way, which is great. So looking at the SD-WAN failover portion, you know, we want to look at each link, and each link is going to have different characteristics, whether it's broadband or, you know, it could be a fiber connection that's internet or an MPLS connection. And what the Juniper is able to do is it can look at and probe each of the links it has. So it can, you can monitor for different things, but traditionally it's, you know, especially when you're talking about phone traffic or office applications, you want to make sure that one, you have connectivity to that cloud application, and two, you know, specifically for something like phone, you want to make sure that there's no latency and jitter that's going to cause impairments to that, because, you know, in not every situation are you going to have a hard failure, because the hard failures are easy, and traditional backup worked well with that. But when you want to look at soft failures, so your link is up and running, but you know, it's impaired. So you're dropping packets, maybe the latency spikes. That's going to cause, back to the, you know, talking about the user experience, that's going to cause poor user experience. And traditional methods wouldn't just fail over based on soft failures, which is great with SD-WAN. So on the support side, again, we're going through design, deliver, and support, because each one of these are important as we're working with a customer. We want to talk about the mission critical app. If you're not aware of that, please get with us and we'll help you with that. The great thing about the mission critical app is it's a way for you to communicate with West Telecom. Whether if you're a partner, you can have access to your customers that are on there and open incidents for them or review the incidents that we have working on them. And then we've got a 24/7 NOC, and we leverage these cloud managed tools. And in the next slide, we'll talk about how some of those things tie together. So the app is really important to us, and it's a way to stay connected with the customer and offer, that added value. So we have different inputs into that app. So it could be a customer creating a ticket, a support ticket being created by West Telecom or the partner. And then we also have either the cloud platforms or monitoring platforms that are kind of churning through some data that we're getting from our system. So if there's a link detection that's out or some impairment, we can be sending alarms and auto create tickets that get pushed to the app, and you can get notified through looking at the app. You'll see the little badge pop up, push messages, SMS, or email, depending on your preference. So in terms of, our partnership with Juniper, and, the fact that Tarek is on here speaks volumes to that. Juniper has been a partner of West Telecom for quite a while now. We've leveraged Juniper for our ISP backbone, and we feel confident in the Juniper product and really value the benefits that it has to offer for a service provider. And when we go to design our service provider network, we're talking about, we want redundancy, reliability, all those things that, have to be going to keep those mission critical services going across our network that matter. And then we leverage, extend that to the customer premise by offering additional Juniper equipment and kind of follow that same philosophy. With that, we were a 2019 Elevate Award finalist with Juniper. It's their only customer award program. We have a link to that, our case study, on our website, and it was a huge honor to be part of a global program with Juniper. And then, I think what we've seen with some of the stuff that Juniper's put together is they have a real focus on forward-thinking networking. Traditional networking is definitely, how do I get from here to there? There might be one path, or maybe there's a failure and a backup. But what really adds the value is the AI, which Tarek will talk a little bit about in the automation. That's what really brings the user experience up. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Tarek. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And
thanks, Eric.
Once again, you know, the concept and sort of in terms of setting the stage for why artificial intelligence is critical and key. And Eric, you touched on this several times. It's about user experience. Because at the end of the day, what we're seeing today is there are more devices, more applications, more bandwidth being used. And it's becoming harder and harder for network engineers to stay on top of what's going on in their networks. And it's becoming humanly impossible, in fact. And so we have to start leveraging an artificial intelligence, machine learning, to gather all that data and make sense out of it, to find issues that are really elusive, because you have to sift through log files, for example. And they're coming at us at an accelerated rate. And so the idea is, how do we conquer the network? How do we ensure that the network behaves in such a way that it sort of blends into the background, much like, you know, a common utility like electricity works or turning on the water? You don't think about how that, you know, the electricity is provided by the power companies. And much the same way, we want to ensure that users are having that same great experience. And so that's the idea behind an experience-first networking. And it's kind of built around these three pillars. One is you have to drive that user experience, ensuring that your end users, whether it's you know, the students at the school or the patients and doctors in a healthcare facility or wherever, are having a great experience with the network. Two is we want to be able to simplify the operations for those people who are responsible for running the networks, the IT folks, the network engineers. And that's where we bring in the AI ops model, where instead of logging into CLI, we want them to go and ask the AI, hey, what is wrong with my network? Do I have unhappy users today? And sort of the third piece, which is kind of important, is this idea of connected security, making sure that every part of the network participates in safeguarding and securing the data, the users, the resources, the business in general. And so what I'm showing here in this slide is that since Juniper acquired Mist Systems a couple of years ago, you know, some people thought at the time, oh, Juniper is now filling a hole in their portfolio when it comes to wireless. But in fact, we acquired an artificial intelligence powerhouse with Mist. And since the acquisition, we were able to extend that within 6 months to the wired platforms, to the EX switches. And so now, in much the same way, we're pulling that telemetry out of the wireless systems to see how users are connecting to the wireless networks. We've applied it now to the wired. And we've since also expanded it to Sd-Wan with the wide area network. And we're on this march to extend it to all parts of the network up to the data center. So if we go to the next slide, this allows us to then ask simple questions like, why is my Zoom call breaking up? And then we're able to understand exactly where in the network a user is having a problem. Because now with artificial intelligence, pulling all this telemetry across the board, we're able to pinpoint and identify issues. So for example, on the wireless side, if a user is having a connectivity issue, it could be Wi-Fi interference, it could be a roaming issue. And the system will learn and improve. It's sort of like a custom fit glove because the system's always adjusting the RRM settings, adjusting the channels. So you never have to do a site survey. And not only that, if the system detects that something is off, it automatically triggers a dynamic packet capture. So these dynamic PCAPs are stored in the cloud, allowing you to go back and say, oh, this user was having a connection issue regarding roaming here, or maybe it was authentication. And rather than going to the user and saying, hey, or the user first, what typically happens is, my connection is terrible. I'm having trouble connecting to the network. Instead, you see that the system tells you there's an issue with this user. And not only that, I have the data for you. You can look it up on Wireshark. You can look at the information without having to go back to the user and say, hey, Can you walk that hallway one more time for me to see, you know, if we can reproduce that issue, to see how it, what caused it to happen? When it comes to the wired, we've instituted a lot of cool features where we're able to detect things like bad cables or missing VLANs. And this has saved, you know, some of our large customers who are deploying. This is one example, a large national retail chain, and they're deploying thousands of EX switches. And sure enough, our system, Marvis, told them, hey, you seem to be having approximately 17 bad cables across your deployment of thousands of switches. You should look into that. And they were kind of skeptical. How can you detect that we actually have some bad cables here? And sure enough, when they went and looked at those specific ports, sure enough, those cables are bad. These things happen. Or missing VLANs, the same thing, where a sales associate, although they're able to connect to the network, their application isn't talking to the cloud. It's not working, so they're not able to help customers. And they notice it only on a certain part of the store. And so when they go to another part of the store, the app works fine. And it turns out that they were missing VLANs on that particular switch that connected to those APs in that corner of the store. And then when it comes to the WAN, extending out to the SD-WAN, oftentimes if you have a service outage that's widespread, it might not be detected right away versus an issue with this particular WAN edge device. So being able to determine these things and looking at that and getting the information instantly, this is how we're able to address the question, why is my Zoom call breaking up? And so from the client out to the cloud, we're able to provide that visibility into the user experience. And so this is the mission, this is the vision that we're on. And if we go to the next slide, the way that the system works is, again, we have this microservices cloud. This is the Mist cloud. This is where we pull in all of the telemetry, all the data. We apply the data sciences. We have a team of data scientists who are constantly improving and working on developing these capabilities. And so bringing in the artificial intelligence along with the domain expertise, the telemetry from the network, and built on a microservices modern cloud, now we have the compute power, the horsepower to actually do something with it. And so that's where we're able to offer these services, you know, the Mist cloud services that we show here, Wi-Fi assurance, the wired assurance, the WAN assurance, using Marvis, which is our virtual network assistant. You simply ask Marvis a question. And by the way, Marvis comes from Jarvis. It's a play on, you know, Iron Man, the first Iron Man AI personality. And so you can simply ask Marvis, do I have unhappy users today? Or what was roaming like for Tark's phone today? You can simply ask these questions and instantly it will tell you if it knows what the answer is, what's going on with the network. And so that's sort of the value that you're able to offer to your customers, and to also build these services where you can actually use the AI cloud and Marvis to help and ensure that your users, ultimately, the point again is that they're having a great user experience. And then along the bottom here, we have a rich portfolio of access points, access switches, as well as the WAN infrastructure. One of the things that we recently announced almost a month ago now is that we have this new EX4400 access switch. We think this is the industry's best access switch. It has a lot of the features. It was built from the ground up after the acquisition of Mist to use the cloud and use artificial intelligence. It also is based on open standards, things like EVPN, VXLAN, which allows you to do, to basically set up a campus architecture very similar to what we do with data centers that allows you to introduce microsegmentation into your network and to keep your users secure. Coming back to the access points, they're Wi-Fi 6 enabled. So starting from the AP12, which is a desktop mount or a wall mount, out to the AP43, which is the flagship product, you have a lot of choices there. Let's go to the next slide. So in terms of industry recognition, you can see here that, you know, for example, Gartner recognizes us as leaders in a lot of different areas. We've been leader for in the data center for 3 years now. And just last year, you know, 1 year after the acquisition of Mist, We've been recognized as a leader in the wired and wireless LAN access, MQ. And then last year, we also named visionary for the WAN edge infrastructure. But one of the things, if you get a chance to read the report, is that they see us accelerating compared to our other peers in the industry with respect to, again, the artificial intelligence, those types of capabilities. And then, of course, with network firewalls, we have a fully featured next-gen firewall in the SRX that we're talking about that provides a lot of that capability to provide security and safeguard users. And then finally, the indoor location services, we were like, I think, the only networking vendor that was able to make it in that MQ and make it to visionary. So we actually are on the farthest right in terms of visionary and innovation. And if we go to the next slide, the market is paying attention. And, you know, we are gaining a lot of traction. Last year was phenomenal for Juniper in the enterprise. While a lot of the rest of the industry was sort of declining or stagnant, we actually grew. And it's because of the ability to deliver these end user experiences. A lot of our customers say that once you see the Mist solution, you can't unsee it. It's that powerful. I would love to show you a demo sometime. I use it at home. And as I mentioned, that same offer, you know, the raffle prize that we're giving away will allow you to get to experience this. But being able to understand exactly why your users are not happy or what's going on with your network, you could see exactly what's going on and why instantly because of the artificial intelligence capabilities. And so here, this is our mic drop slide where we show that we have 10 of the Forbes 10 customers using Juniper. 8 of the top 10 global retailers recognize the value that we deliver. 7 of the top 10 tech companies, 18 of the top 20 universities. You know, we have folks like MIT using us. 18 of the world's largest 20 banks, and the largest healthcare system in the US with the Veterans Affairs Hospital, and many, many more. Large deployments, small deployments, we're able to scale because, again, we use a microservices cloud architecture and we're able to deliver that user experience.
Okay, since I guess Tarek dropped the mic, I'm going to have to bend over and pick it up. But thank you, Tarek. That was great. So why West Telecom Solutions? We're here to simplify your IT, making sure that we're meeting those critical, mission critical services and keeping them always on. We're not here just to have a menu with some items. We're going to provide a total solution, which I think we've shown with our slides and, you know, this case study as well as what Tarek presented. We're looking at redundancy. We're here to provide a single bill. So if you're to go do this on your own, you've got, you know, the multiple providers, you know, voice solutions. We're a one-stop shop that can kind of get that end-to-end visibility and solution. And I think our support really stands out. And, you know, with extending it with the mission critical app, I think you'll see a lot of value with that. With that said, I think we've got a little time left that we're going to open up for some Q&A.
Thank you both so much for being here, and that was amazing. Like Eric said, you know, we're open to questions now. We would love to, you know, no question is stupid. Feel free to fire away in the chat. There's a Q&A section that you can just write in. All right, it looks like we have one question so far. How do you identify what customers might need this solution? So.
Sure, that's a good question. So I guess it really, it depends what the customer is looking for, but, you know, I think based on what Tarek has shown that it really can change IT for a lot of customers. I think when you look at the managed WAN, SD-WAN deployment, if there's that critical need to be up all the time because you have cloud services, and if those, you know, connections to those cloud services are down, you can't operate. Most companies nowadays can't, you know, just shut off for an hour or 2 or 3. So critical connectivity. I think people that are, you know, having difficulties in the past with, well, you know, we bought all this new equipment, but we've got so-and-so in, say, Deirdre in the marketing department, and she's having issues with her Zoom, or she's having issues with this cloud service. Leveraging these capabilities that we have built into and with the artificial intelligence, we can really see, yeah, you've got these great products, but as Tarek mentioned, maybe it's a LAN cable that's not right, or Marvis can tell you, hey, you're missing a VLAN from your switch, so this user is not able to connect to this network. And then we can also look to, the WAN side and see, the connection may be up, but someone's having poor performance getting to those cloud apps, and it could be for, latent reasons. So I think, one of the things is if you want more visibility into what's happening on your network, because someone's not coming to you saying, they're not saying, hey, the router's not working. It's really this application isn't working. We're in an application-centric world now, and for business applications, people are going to get frustrated if they have to wait for the page to load or it's not working. So I think that application visibility is important, as well as being able to have pretty close to 100% uptime for access to your cloud platforms. Perfect. And sorry, I know this is a long answer, but I'd also like to say that if you do have questions about a specific customer, and say, if you can share some of their background with us, connect up, we can dive into it and look to see if these are some of the right solutions for you and your customers.
Thanks, Eric. So we have a few more questions. The next one is, will this work to connect offices out of the country?
Yeah. And Tarek could expand on that if he wants, but the great thing with Sd-Wan is that there's many connectivity options. And we're not just talking about broadband solutions or LTE. You can have MPLS services. So if you have a global MPLS provider that's providing dedicated connections, and then you use internet in country, it'll definitely work. A lot of enterprises in the global space are using this.
Perfect. We have another question. How might Sd-Wan help financially limited SMBs?
Yeah, so I think I'm not sure the exact answer to that. It might, if we're saying that they have limited resources for extra technology. I don't think it's a lot that we're adding on. The Sd-Wan portion. So any of these things that we talked about today could be individual or grouped together. Obviously, if you're doing like a smarter WAN, LAN, and wireless, you get the full network capabilities and visibility. I think, for small companies, it could even be a coffee shop. You set the expectation that, a lot of companies are using cloud point of sale systems. And I think you can look at it from the perspective of what's the cost to the company if that connection is down. So I think that's the real answer there.
It's a great answer.
In general, I might also add the fact that with Sd-Wan, you're able to take better control of the links. So if you only need a primary with a backup, you can choose that way. Or if you want to kind of balance the cost by splitting between, a higher service like MPLS, and then you can send all, non-critical traffic on a broadband or something less expensive. That allows an SMB definitely to manage their costs. So it gives you choice now.
And that person is actually, the partner is asking, can you give examples of what network equipment you might deploy for a small, medium, or large scale TO deployment?
Yeah, so I think, back to the slide that Tarek shared with, all the equipment. The great thing is there's many sizes, including the small fanless option he talked about, as well as the APs. So I think, each one of those things has different measures for how you decide. So a switch, you're technically, limited by the ports you have. The APs, usually, you're looking at the coverage and how many clients you have. And then same with the SRX for the WAN, you would use a different firewall on the edge if you had 50 users versus if you had 5,000 users, because it's a lot more sessions to support. I think typically in a smaller deployment, we would use like a SRX 300. That one doesn't have the capability for LTE backup, but if you're using, you have a broadband connection or a fiber internet and then DSL for backup, that would work great. Then you can use a small switch, whether it's I think there's an 8 or a 12 port option. And then you can use one of the smaller APs. I think there was the AP12. But that's where, the solution, I would say, and maybe Tara could add to this, but the solution is the same regardless of the size. You still have the same capabilities.
That's exactly correct. The portfolio is rich enough to provide you, the scale that you need for your particular deployment needs. But ultimately, you still get the same power in the Mist cloud with the software and the AI. So that does not impact the end user experience. It's just depending on your capacity needs and the scale that you require, we can definitely support it.
It's great. So another question that came in, how as a partner do we sell this? How do we offer this service? Where do we even start?
Great question. I think, from a high level, this is a good overview. Really, our intent was to kind of share some of the capabilities that we had as a combined company. And, I think a good place would be to connect with your account exec, and we could set up time, first between the partner and West Telecom and talk about the different solutions. And if you have a specific customer in mind that you want to talk about approaching, if you get a hold of us, we could set up time to talk and, see if this works. And we can take it, we're here to help you be successful. We're going to, look at the customer use case and make sure that we're designing the right solution with you to accommodate them.
Great. Thanks, Eric. Give it another second. Okay, well, if there's no more questions, I have all of the partners that are on the webinar right now. I have all of you in this little box, super old school. I'm going to pick up a piece of paper, and whoever is on the piece of paper is going to win the Juniper kit. What we'll do is I'll contact you to get your mailing address, and Juniper will send out the switch and the router. And then you can try Mist out for yourself at your home. Okay. So the winner is Verdi. Congratulations. So we'll be in contact with you and get that out to you very soon.
Yeah.
And
oh, sorry, Deirdre. I was just going to add, we're really appreciative of your time. And, if you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of your account exec, and we could set up some more time to talk or, trade emails if that's more efficient.